If life feels too busy, if your mind feels chaotically busy, this project is a way to slow down. With just paper and a pen, we will create calming, repeating marks inspired by Yayoi Kusama's infinity nets. And this will become the background for the next step in our 3-part series. Don't worry if you haven't heard of her. I hadn't either, at least not that I recall. But Yayoi Kusama is one of the most successful living artists. Born in Japan in 1929, she has lived with vivid hallucinations and mental illness her entire life. She may not have been able to stop her self-obliterating visions, but has transformed them into art. Endless fields of repeated marks she calls infinity nets. They became her way of calming chaos. Art as medicine. Art as survival. Today we will build our own infinity net pages. All you need is your art journal or paper and a pen or marker. I'm using cardstock. Start by choosing colors you'd like to spend some time with. Then begin filling your page with small connected marks, one after another. As you draw, don't aim for perfect shapes. Yayoi Kusama said her nets were about rhythm and repetition, not precision. She considers her art psychosomatic, healing for both mind and body. Each mark an anchor, a way to steady herself when the world feels overwhelming. Keep filling your page at a pace that feels natural. You can spread across the whole sheet or pause when you feel calmer. Come back to it as you want or need. You don't need a lot of time to practice meaningful creative self-care. Notice how repetition becomes grounding, almost like visual breathing. As you immerse yourself in the rhythm, the noise outside and within quiets, and you can find yourself in that calming, healing state of creative flow, where I often find clarity I need. One small mark, followed by another, and another, and another. When I first saw Yayoi Kusama's infinity nets, they reminded me of my simple form of neurographic creative self-care art making. But unlike my line making and sharp crossing softening, there are no long, flowy, wavy lines to start. For her, it started as one small stroke with a paintbrush at a time, one after the other. Feel free to try it in paint if you'd like, but all you need to join in this creative self-care activity is paper and a pen, or marker, or pencil, or even crayon. As you don't need a lot of time to practice meaningful creative self-care, you don't need to spend a lot of money to reclaim your creativity. Better with Art is all about low-pressure, creative self-care art making that can be done even in a few minutes, here and there, with low-cost, easily accessible materials. Its purpose is to encourage you to take time for art, remind you that it's not a waste of time, and help you find what I found in establishing a regular art-making habit. I gave up regular art making for years, despite knowing how balancing and healing it was for me, how good it was for my brain and my soul. There was always something that seemed more important to do. But mental health is so important. Art played a vital part in my own mental health recovery and is part of my mental health maintenance. I've never experienced overwhelming hallucinations, but I have been lost in the despair of severe depression. I did not want to exist. I needed a way to end the indescribable pain of numb. If you need to find a way to make just getting to your next day tolerable, to not act on the dark thoughts that you really will once again be able to see as lies, if you need to just get through the next hour, the next moment, to not resent the next breath, I invite you to pick up a pen. I've been there. I know. It can be amazing how grounding the simple act of putting marks on paper can be. How it can anchor us in this moment. How it can bring us back to ourselves. You don't need to know despair to need that over and over again. Life can be hard, even when we look like we have it all together. As well as despair, I know overwhelm. I know how impossible it can feel to meet all the demands on my time and energy. I know resentment of my responsibilities. I know anxiety. I know frustration, fatigue, anhedonia, trauma. And I know art helps. We are wired for creativity, made in the image of the Creator. When we're not taking time to express and exercise our creativity in ways we find meaningful and enjoy, we are not as healthy as we could be. Life gets chaotic, and there are so many voices telling us what we should do or want or be. The world can be so noisy, and so can our own spinning thoughts. So join me in creating infinity nets to find some quiet and calm in the chaos. In this 3-part Yayoi Kusama series, today's art isn't just a new calming, relaxing, quieting, centering, grounding practice to add to your mental health toolbox. Next week, we will use it as a background to layer one of Kusama's favorite symbols, the pumpkin, on top of our calmed chaos and adding comfort. In part 3, we'll make flowers, which represent both joy and mourning, celebration and fragility. So hold on to today's infinity net, or have at least one handy for our next Yayoi Kusama-inspired art session if you decide to make more. If you have found value in this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe for more creative self-care encouragement. If you are feeling inspired to take some time for creative self-care art making, I'd love to know. Kind, curious, or constructive comments are always welcome. And I appreciate even a hello to let me know you were here. All these things also help me reach more people with the message that taking time to make art is not a waste of time. Most importantly, make art, because we are better with art.